say, like, for people that are like really trying to figure it out, like, know your investment criteria. Now you might ask yourself, like, how do I go about developing an investment criteria if I've never even started, or I've never even invested, right? Like I tell people, there's millions of ways to work out. You can do P90X, you can do boxing, Muay Thai, lift weights, jog, run. There's a million different ways to work out, but you're not going to know what's your specific strategy. So for us, like we are in multifamily space. Like I said, 1 to 200 units, BTC class properties, preferably pitched roofs, and then all blah, blah, blah down the list, right? So we have a criteria. But if you don't have a criteria, you kind of have to get some skin in the game and learn to develop what works best for you.
Welcome to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast, your source for real-world strategies focused on creating long-term wealth, cash flow, and financial freedom through real estate. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful real estate investors and thought leaders, we provide you the tools to succeed and reach the lifestyle you always wanted. And now your host, Dwaine Clarke.
Hello and welcome to the Wealth of Real Estate Investing podcast. This is your host, Dwaine Clarke. And today we have Matthew Baltzell. Matthew is a real estate analyst and investor relations manager at Boardwalk Wealth in Dallas, Texas, and the host of Real Estate Journeys podcast. Matthew, thank you so much for joining us on the show. And how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, brother. Thank you for having me. I know I was a bit late, but did everything I could to get here, and I'm glad and I'm happy to be here.
As long as you're here, that's all that matters. So we really appreciate you. And I understand we was talking pre-show that you're in another country. So I really appreciate you taking the time, because I understand it's really late at there. So we promise to be very valuable with your time and, kind of get some real good insight with our audience. But before we kick things off, I know you said you're in another country, have a very interesting background. Would you mind sharing for us your background and how you got started in real estate?
Yeah. So back in 2008, I helped my mother manage 10 single family properties. And, it was just me and my mother, and it was kind of rinky dink. And it was basically my mother was financing stuff, and we over leveraged ourselves, and, we had to liquidate a bunch of our properties, and, that was kind of that. So fast forward to, what I've been up to recently is I've left the States back in 2016, June 2016, to go travel the world. I wound up in Thailand. I fell in love. I got married. But while I was abroad, I was thinking of, what do I want to do when I return to the United States? And so I'm living in Chiang Mai, Thailand. I'm thinking this, like, what do I really want to do? And I wanted to get involved in commercial real estate, and I wanted to get involved in the multifamily space. But I knew I wasn't going to be back for a while, maybe a year plus, going on 3 years now. But in the meantime, I was like, okay, well, like, what can I do? So I was trying to think creatively. I joined Bigger Pockets. I created a digital meetup. And it wasn't the most successful, but I had about 8 people throughout the United States. And I really started diving into multifamily and really learning, just taking a deep dive in really educating myself. And from there stemmed a person who was one of my mentors, and she wasn't in my group, but she was just following. And she said, like, hey, let me know what you're doing. Update me on your progress. I'm really interested in your story. So did that for 3 months. And then she basically said, like, hey, I know somebody. I want to put you in touch with them, and I think that you guys could connect, which was Omar, the CEO at Boardwalk Wealth. And at that time, Omar was starting the company, and I kind of, the stars kind of just aligned. Omar was like, hey, can you do this one thing for me? Boom, did it. Started developing broker lists, did it. Talking to brokers, did it. Boom, 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 boom. Next thing was like, yeah, like, we like this fit. So then, so then I started working at Boardwalk Wealth. I started working there about 2 years ago. So things are good. We're in the process of acquiring another property right now. So yeah, things are hectic, but that's kind of how I've transitioned from single family into the larger multifamily space. And we specialize in acquiring larger multifamily units between 100 to 200 units in the southeastern United States corridor right there.
Nice. Yeah, the thing is, 'cause we have a local meetup in our marketplace, and we have new guys coming in. The biggest question is like, how do we get started? And I was kind of telling them like, go find someone that's in the business, or go reach out, try to add value to people, and and eventually can maybe find some type of synergy with some people. And you did the exact same thing. You found a mentor. I mean, you took all the right steps in order to kind of propel yourself instead of the traditional way where you kind of beating your head and trying to get into the business, and maybe start with single family and duplex and the 10 unit, and then kind of
Yeah.
do it yourself.
It,
But you said, I'm going to do straight in and do it that
yeah.
way.
And the thing when you always hear that too, right? Like for the people that are listening to this and they hear like, get in the door, right? Get your foot in the door, like get in the business. And I've always kind of been like, I don't know. Whenever I hear stuff, it never really makes sense to me, right? Like you hear something, I'm like, does this apply to me? Like,
Hmm.
do I have the money? That's that person. I live here. I don't live there. Like that doesn't apply to me. So I'm kind of like a firm believer of like, like make shit happen for yourself. And then it kind of just like falls into your own little story, right? Like
Hmm.
I created a digital meetup, and my first meetup I created was in like Thailand. And the first one everybody was like, oh, you want to invest in uh condos in Chiang Mai. And I was like, no, like I want to invest in American real estate. Like you should
Hmm.
go to America. And I was like, okay, well that's impossible. Like I live halfway around the world. I was like, what if I could think creatively, right? And like really start to network and leverage and talk to people. And that also led to my show, Real Estate Journeys, the podcast as well. But if you're like one of those people that's going to your meetup and you're listening to this and you're trying to get your foot in the door, if you're kind of creating your own path, and I go to the meetup and you go to the meetup, somebody's more susceptible to be willing to help you or link it up with you if you're making something happen for yourself, because they know that you're
Exactly.
resourceful. So
Exactly.
if you're like, listen, I'm just bird dogging, driving around, looking at properties. I know this really good neighborhood. Like I have a stack of flyers. Like look at this. Look at my Instagram. Like I'm just doing whatever I can to make it happen right now. And they're like, okay, man, like I'm a 10-year seasoned vet. Like I'll help you out, or like, I have a
Right.
deal. Or, but if you're just coming in empty handed and like, hey, I want to get in, how many people of those do you know that read 10, 15 real estate books, but they don't have one property, or they've never
Hmm.
done anything. But then there's those people that have, like, I'll say like myself, who've like studied, educate, kind of fallen into their place. And then other people are going to like real estate. I saw a thing the other day for Columbia University, and they're just pitching the business course or whatever it was on real estate investing. And I looked at the courses and I was like, man, like 3 or 4 of these might be applicable to like some of the commercial real estate, but other than that, you're gonna be like $60,000 in debt, and
Yeah. Right.
better off just going to those meetings and grinding and really adding value for yourself. And I think that's important for people to hear, that attend these kind of meetings, that whatever you're bringing to that table, you have something to offer, and don't come empty handed, because nobody wants to lend their time, and time is money. So if you're saying,
Right.
hey, can I borrow a moment of your time? I got to get a cup of coffee. It's like, dude, I don't know about you, but I'm better off just going paying whatever you pay in the States right now, 375 cafe latte, get in my own car. Perfect. I don't got to deal with anybody. I don't got to drive. Like I know what I'm doing. So
Hmm.
if you're not bringing something to the table, like those people are not going to want to talk to you. So you got to really elevate your status and bring something. And that's going to be the best way for you to get your foot in the door, whether you live halfway around the world or you live in New Haven, Connecticut, or New York City. You got to be
Hmm.
bringing something and always be adding value.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that message. And like I said, I know that's going to resonate with a lot of people, especially the people I talk to all the time who are saying, how do I kick into the business? So I appreciate you letting us know about that story. For
For
Boardwalk
sure.
Health, Boardwalk Wealth, you guys, like I said, target large assets. I'm assuming like 100 plus unit properties.
Yeah.
Which markets are you guys currently in right now?
So our current focus is the southeastern United States, but we have 2 properties that are solely us as sponsors. I shouldn't say solely us as sponsors. We have other GPs as well, but we have real estate in. We just acquired a Oh, I should not jinx it. We are in the process of acquiring a property in Georgia. We have another property that we're in the process of acquiring. I'm sorry, not in the process. We've acquired in Florida, in Jacksonville, and then we have other properties in Texas as well. So those 3 states: Georgia, Florida, and Texas. We've looked in North Carolina. We haven't looked in Alabama, but we really kind of like that southeastern part. Basically, any state that's going to be landlord friendly. Our investment criteria is 1 to 200 units, B2C class properties, preferably pitched roofs, 10 to 20% below market rents, between $5 to $15 million.
Nice.
And that's our initial deal screening. And especially with the markets being tight, we were predominantly focusing on Florida and Texas. And by off chance, we started expanding our reach, and we haven't got the deal yet, but like I said, we're in the process. But now we're in Georgia expanding. And before that, we were looking into North Carolina and some other states as well. So it's just kind of, the market's tough right now. So, we're really happy with where we're at right now, but that's kind of a rundown of Boardwalk Wealth.
Nice. Yeah, you kind of mentioned kind of like the markets, market's different right now. As far as kind of like your initial phase, because you're looking at numbers, you're looking at tons of deals and stuff like that. Can you kind of take us kind of like, or give some tips on your approach on analyzing deals and how many deals that you look at till you decide when to make an offer on?
Yeah. So, I mean, with everything, I think the more clear you are and specific you are with your actions and your criteria, the more clear everybody's going to be. So if I say this 1,000 times, if you talk to any, we'll say new real estate investor, or you could tell if somebody's just kind of blowing smoke, and you say like, what are you looking for? And they say, we want a cash flowing property in a good area. Well, it's like, well, no shit. Everybody wants a cash flowing property in a good area. It's like, bro, I don't have time to figure out, like, to talk to you. Like, like when you're speaking to your wife or your significant other, like, what do you want? It's like, tell me, like, are you mad? I'm sorry. We'll figure this out. It's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's like, oh, okay, we're going to be here for a while. Right.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, for people that are like really trying to figure it out, like, know your investment criteria. Now you might ask yourself, like, how do I go about developing an investment criteria? If I've never even started, or I've never even invested, right? Like I tell people, there's millions of ways to work out. You can do P90X, you can do boxing, Muay Thai, lift weights, jog, run. There's a million different ways to work out, but you're not going to know what's your specific strategy. So for us, like we are in multifamily space. Like I said, 1 to 200 units, B2C class properties, preferably pitched roofs, and that all blah, blah, blah down the list, right? So we have a criteria. But if you don't have a criteria, you kind of have to get some skin in the game and learn to develop what works best for you. So like I said, I'm in multifamily. That doesn't mean everybody should go into multifamilies. Some people like to flip. Some people like to be wholesalers. Some people want to do storage units, right? But the more I'd say the longer that you've kind of been in the game or can pinpoint a strategy that you like and go after it, from there, you'll be able to develop your investment criteria. And then once you have your investment criteria, you're able to know automatically. Like if somebody said, we have a 1 to 200 class or 1 to 200 units in New York, I would just tell them right there, we're not interested. They say it's good cash flow, it's in a good area. It's like, we're not interested. It's not in a landlord friendly state. We, for like legality purposes and stuff, like it could be, but we don't want to, that's just what we do. That's just what we protect ourselves. Now, that's not to say that, other people like might not be investing or might be investing in that market and are more focused on appreciation, right? But the value add strategies is different. Like we don't invest in D-class properties. Like we don't want to be in crime zones, war zones. We're not about that. Is there money there to be made? Yes. Is there money to be made in Section 8 housing? Yes. Is there money to be made in student housing? Yes. But we don't do any of that. So like I said, the more specific you are and clear within your actions within real estate and your life, you're going to be able to make a lot more monumental leaps just in general with everything having specificity. And when you go to these real estate meetups and, your people that are listening to this and they attest that, going to your meetups, it's like, what do you want as a member going in? Like, are you looking for a deal? Do you want coaching? Do you want somebody to help you raise capital? What do you want to learn? Because if you're walking in there and like, hey, I read a book, I like it a lot, there's nothing wrong with that. I would continue to tell you to keep going to those meetings until you start thinking like, all right, I got to like focus on something here. I got to try something. Like I got to ask the
Mm-hmm.
girl out. I got to
Right.
put some gas in the car and go. I can't just like keep fine tuning it in the garage. Like it's time the bird to leave the nest, right? You got to go.
Mm-hmm.
So specificity, take action, and it'll kind of clear up there from you. And then once you develop it, it's not to say that it can't change. Like one of our preferences is preferably pitched roofs, right? But that's not a deal breaker. That's just
Mm.
from like a prior experience that it's a preferred pitched roof. So if it's, 120 units and they don't have pitched roof, then we're not going to say, hey, buzz off, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are just as far as investment criteria is concerned.
Nice. Yeah, that's definitely good advice there, because again, it's you have to really focus, because you're going to be making all these relationships with brokers. They're going to be sending you stuff. You don't want them to send you a student housing deal or something in New
For
York,
sure.
and it just it's going to be waste your time, especially now in this market where it's very competitive. You got to be kind of laser focused. I talked to a lot of investors, and they're like, looking at 100 deals at a time. So instead of
Yeah.
looking at 100, maybe it be 50 that's specifically for your criteria that you can kick
Yeah.
out the door and focus strictly
And
on
also
those.
too, like, brokers, I mean, let's just at the end of the day, right? It's going to come down to relationships, and they want to make money. Like
Hmm.
the broker wants to make money, the seller wants to make money. Everybody wants to make money. So you got to be easy to deal with. You got to be easy to work with and deal with, right? And they're going to want to be able to close. So if the broker thinks that you are not going to be eligible to close, we'll say, why would they want to deal with you, right? So you have to put your best foot forward with the broker, and the seller wants to have the best broker, and he wants the guy that can sell, and he wants the guy that can close, and you got to be the closer. So it's this kind of like song and dance that goes back and forth. So it's really a fine-tuned juggling act, and you got to basically put on your best vest
Hmm.
walking forward.
Exactly. Good. Another great point there. Awesome. Yeah. So like I said, that definitely kind of keys into my next thing. Part of your other role is of, networking, bringing in capital, investor relations. So,
Yeah.
what are some kind of tips that help you guys that,
Oh man.
get the word out there?
Yeah. So I had this revelation the other day. This might be a little off, or maybe it's a little bit to answer your question. So I had this revelation of like, we're in the process of closing this deal, and I was thinking like, like big words equal big numbers, right? And I was thinking like when you're raising capital and people are investing hundreds and thousands of dollars and shit, right? You don't want somebody that's kind of loosey goosey, right? You want business, you want brass tacks. Like, this is what you're going to make. This is what you want. Tell me what you want. Fill out the form. Awesome. Great.
Hmm.
Perfect. Love it. Am I going to get my money? Boom. Like, they don't want, like, they kind of want, like, it's like, like a little bit of a fine line of like, if you're sending emails back and forth. And I shouldn't say I'm guilty of that, but like in the beginning, right? You're like, oh man, like I would say something maybe like, hey, like have a great weekend. Like it's smiley face, but it's like, oh, like no, I'm taking those out now. Taking those out. Like people want when they're dealing with the big forms, right? Like when you go see your doctor, you don't want him to be like, oh, like you're here for your checkup. Like drop your pants. You're like, oh, like, I just want a guy that's like, hey, how you doing? I'm Dr. Smith. Nice to meet you. What's the
Yep.
problem today? Okay,
Hmm.
great. And you're like, you feel good with that, right?
Hmm.
You want somebody that's like, when they're handling your money, cool shit, man. I
Hmm.
got you. This ship is, we've been through some stuff, but we got you. No problem.
Hmm.
And we'll handle that. We'll take care of you. So, yeah, I had that revelation, like big words equal big dollars. You don't have to necessarily be speaking the most eloquently and throwing around big words, but, being able to articulate more and, not necessarily blah, 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 like,
Hmm.
and I definitely still ramble, but, I'd say if that was to answer your question a little bit, but about getting our name out there, being on podcasts, getting in national publications. I've been featured in U.S. News, National Real Estate Investor Online, Economy Times. So, like I said, we've been around for 2 years, but we're really trying to develop our relations. And to circle back to what I was originally trying to highlight, but I forgot, is when you're developing those broker relations and they do send you a bad deal. Like, let's say I'm putting on a good vest and I'm a really good investor and I know it, but I need you and you live in Connecticut and I don't know you, but I'm trying to reach into that market. And I don't know whether you're a good agent yet. Maybe you're a bad agent. But even if you do send me a bad deal and you might think it's garbage and that agent's not listening to you, you need to still reciprocate and tell that agent why it does not fit, which leads back to your investment criteria. So you could say, hey, Dwaine, love you, man. That's great. Appreciate it. I know this is great cash flow, everything, but it's actually 75 units. This is our investment criteria again.
Right.
You're busy. I'm busy. Reiterate, re-highlight. Awesome. Oh, thank you for getting back to me. Appreciate it. Next time I'll know. And then from there, it might get more niche. And maybe he'll send you 10, 15 bad deals, but 6, 7 months later, when he's sending you deals, now they're more spot on. Now they're exactly your investment criteria. So you got to kind of develop this relationship with the broker and reciprocate the process and return emails and say, this is what works for us. This is what it doesn't work for us. This is why it works. This is, and develop that relationship. And that, in a sense, helps your networking and helps build your brand. And if you stay true to who you are and you do have a good brand and you do have good marketing and you do have good employees, I think it's only a matter of time before you develop and start taking off.
I like that a lot specifically because I deal with brokers all the time and, kind of let them know specifically because not only they're going to start sending you stuff, but they'll start working a little bit harder because they're getting that feedback to say, oh, well, these guys are serious. They're willing to give me feedback. I'm going to go out there and make an extra couple of calls to find out which sellers fit that criteria. And I'm going to send it over to you because I know that you guys are, taking the time to get back to me, let you know that they're serious. So that kind of, creates a closer bond. So that's some great feedback
100%.
right there. I like that a lot. Awesome. Do you guys, because I know you're in time, do you also do any in-person type of stuff for investors at all? Or just everything's just more?
For sure. I mean, so as far as like, raising the capital and all that's concerned, I'm just now in the process of developing my network and starting to raise capital. So to be frank, the people that are raising the capital and they're doing, I'll say 99.9% of generating the investors and stuff, they are boots on the ground. They're in Dallas, they're in Florida, they're in Atlanta, they're in North Carolina, they're in the United States predominantly, meeting, shaking hands, kissing babies, whether that's your family. And people need to, initially, people kind of need to like, you trust you, right? And who likes you, knows you, and trusts you, it's usually your family. And then from there, it's, let's say, your people through your podcast or through your blog or through your YouTube channel. And those things take time. And like, you trust you. Nobody's going to, maybe, but I don't know, but a smart, educated, probably accredited investor will not listen to somebody one podcast and be like, Matthew, I like that guy. I'm just going to give him my money. like maybe I should listen to his other podcast. Let me go to his website. They got to develop a relationship. And I think you can attest to that with having a podcast. People can listen to you. They can become familiar with you. They can become familiar with your brand. You become a thought leader. They can go to your website. Having, I don't know how many episodes you've had, but you said you do 5 days a week. So if you've done that for 1 day or 1 year, what is that? 520, 220-ish episodes. You can't fake that, right? So if somebody's like, oh, I want to listen more about Dwaine, like, where do I start? Episode 1, right? Yeah. So developing yourself and really your brand is crucial. And those things take time. And I think a lot of times when you see people on social media and LinkedIn and stuff, you compare your day 1 to somebody day, whatever, 500, 900, year 7. And you're like, oh, I'm not there. Well, you can be. It just takes time.
Exactly. Put the work in. Awesome. Yeah. Kind of speaking to the podcast, you have your show, Real Estate Journeys. Can you kind of tell us about, is there any specific niche or what you have on the show?
Yeah. So basically on Real Estate Journeys, my focus is to help people to scale to 100 units and become location independent entrepreneurs. On the show, we have on predominantly 60% of the content, or 60, whatever the fraction is, 66%, 2/3. There you go. 2/3 of the content is real estate investors. And then the other third is entrepreneurs coming on talking about how to help develop your brand, how to help develop your website, how to, mindset, things of that nature, basically anything in the business realm. But yeah, it's out 2 episodes a week right now. Just released our 80th episode. Things are going very well. So yeah, if anybody's ever interested in reaching out to me, you can go to my website, MatthewBaltzell.com, shoot me an email. I'm more than happy to connect with people and really, put it out there. And if you think you might be a good fit for the show, I'm happy to, talk to you over the phone and see if you would be a good fit.
Awesome. Yeah, and we'll make sure to have that in the show notes. So really appreciate that. So for the kind of the guests to learn a little bit about more and understand you're in a different country, what's kind of like a typical day for you? And do you have any special morning routines?
I would say, my days are always kind of like sporadic. Like I'd say, like right now, like after this, I got a work meeting. I usually do a lot of work predominantly for me at night and in the morning. But I would say we just moved into a new house, my wife and and I like calmness in the morning. So just like come down, I'll drink a glass of water, relax for a second, just chill, hear the birds chirping at like 6, 7 in the morning. Then I'll drink a cup of coffee. Then I go back in. It's like a little routine. Like I don't do it all at once. I'll drink a cup of coffee, go back. And then at about, later after I get done, with my breakfast / work in the morning, then I usually go work out. And that's how I kind of go about starting my day. Sometimes I have to do more work in the morning, but usually I'd say I'm probably in the gym by 9:30, 10-ish, somewhere around there. So wake up 6:30, 7-ish, around there, depends, 6:15. And then breakfast, work for 2 to 3 hours, gym, and then start about my day.
Beautiful. I understand you a lot of success. You guys growing the business, growing the brand. You just recently married. So I always ask, all my guests, what are you most grateful for?
Oh man. I'm most grateful for my family and my loving wife. My mom and dad, they just actually came in town today. And my wife, she's pregnant, or she's maybe a little over 7 months pregnant now. And I always say, like, the essence of life is growth. And if you don't feel like you're growing, whether I'll just take money out of it and everything, people want to develop, right? It's when you're at a stagnant job and you're stagnant in your career, stagnant in your relationships, that you feel like you're not growing as a person. And that's just where like confusion and a lot of stuff just doesn't fit well with your life. So when I saw my mom, and I have a little one coming on the way, and like my marriage, and like just everything, and I'm like, wow, like this is so cool to like have a kid, and my parents get to see my grandchild or their grandchild. And so I'd say I'm really grateful for just like family and seeing the development and the progression of our family and it getting bigger. And I don't know, I just think that's kind of a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's same as, I got another family in Europe, and, just, we all get together. Just like everything feel like it's just coming together. I like that a lot. So.
Yeah, it's cool, man. And like, I told my friend, like I could have imagined, like if you would have told me 3 years ago, because I left June 27th, 2016, I left Los Angeles. And if you would have told me, hey, at that time, you're going to move to Germany, you're going to hate it, your girlfriend's going to dump you, you're going to fly, or you're going to wind up in Thailand, you're going to get married, you're going to start in commercial real estate back in the United States, get married,
have a kid,
have a kid that's half Thai, and then a year after that, you're going to be coming back to America. How much do you want to put down on this bet? I would be like, I'm willing to bet you my life this is not going to happen. So that was 3 years ago for me. And I'm excited to see where 5, 6, 7 years will go. And I don't know, I'm just really excited about the future of family. And I just think if you're open eye and you're willing to learn and receptive, and I'm sure, you seem like a very well-educated gentleman, and, having an international family definitely opens up your eyes to
Oh
other
yeah, absolutely.
possibilities and other people, and you're much more empathetic, and you're just like, listen, like,
Hmm.
you're just a much more compassionate human being. And I don't know, I'm just excited about the times and the way where this world is going to go. I'm not a doomsday kind of person. I think now is going to be one of the more uh, highlights of history and people's lives. And I think now is, if anybody's ever wanted to make a leap in their lives, now's the time to open up your eyes, because there's going to be great opportunities coming in the future.
Well said. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And yeah, look forward. We'll definitely be following your success. And, like I said, congratulations to you and the family and everything. But we
Thank
know
you,
we got
brother.
the name of the podcast. How else do we get in touch with you?
I'd say the best way to follow me is you can go to MatthewBaltzell.com, MatthewBall, as in boy, ALTZELL.com. That's where I post predominantly all of my content. And from there, if you'd like, you can send me an email, but that's the best place to find me.
Beautiful. Matthew, thank you so much. I really appreciate you again calling us late at night in another country, taking the time to inform our guests and kind of give them some wisdom. You really dropped us some nuggets, like kind of like your whole thought process and how everything's been coming together. And I like that backstory, and I think that's very inspirational. So, Matthew, thank you so
For
much again,
sure.
and look forward to connecting with you again soon.
Thank you for having me, Dwaine, and we'll talk soon.
Take care, my friend.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes or the listening platform of your choice. Also, please check us out at DwaineLClarke.com, as well as find us on Facebook for more useful content and resources.